right. First off, before we get started, I want to thank a couple of great places for making this one possible. Both TF Source and Toy Dojo. Put them up here together. TF Source sent the boxed one with the instructions, which I believe is supposed to be the final version of the figure. Toy Dojo also provided us with a nice review sample, one of the test shots. So in one of those rare instances, I'm actually getting to, in the first review, show off both the test shot and the final version of a product, which is really kind of rare, and I appreciate both Kurt and the whole team at TF Source, as well as Ed Bomber there at Toy Dojo, formerly edbomber.com, but now, or edbombertoys.com, I believe. But now it's Toy Dojo, so you don't even worry about that. Both really cool. We're going to get to see some neat stuff here with Mania King, the new Galvatron from Unique Toys, from a couple different perspectives. Here's the box. It's a little bit taller than what you're seeing here. It goes up to there with the Unique Toys logo up in the corner. And one of the things that's nice about it is it's a lot like Fun Pub exclusive, a TF Club exclusive, in that it's a really nice, solid, stiff box. It's got that nice texture on the back. And then inside, you've got, you can see some of the box side box right there. You've got the instruction sheet, as well as Mania King in the foam, which is kind of neat. The foam isn't all glued down, so maybe not quite final, but you've got the whole thing in the nice foam cutout to protect him when in transit. And it's just a nice box. It's just nice, sturdy. It's not going to get crushed. Very nice, solid box. I usually don't talk about packaging, but that's really kind of cool. It's the first time I think we've gotten something that's solid from a third-party toy. So here he is. We'll do a quick comparison shot of him in gun and robot mode here. Again, thanks to you guys for got both versions. This one is the test shot over here on the right. You can tell because it's still got the translucent plastic on the cannon versus the painted plastic. This white was, from what I understood, was going to be a little darker gray. And it looks like, I don't even know if it's showing up on camera. It is a slightly darker gray. It's very, very, this on the test shot, it's pretty much all white. It's very, very close to pure white, maybe a little off-white. And on this one, it's tinted a little bit grayish. Not amazingly so. I mean, like, it's barely noticeable, but if you pull them side by side, it is a little darker gray on the final version over here. So yeah. Now, one of the issues I had, if you remember, I posted some pictures, was the knee broke on one of the. I fixed it, so I'm not even sure which side it was. It broke right up here at this post. These pull out and rotate around for transformation, and it broke up here at the post. I've since repaired it. This one is now totally transformable, just like this one. But the problem was this knee piece right here. It rotates here. It's on a hinge right here at the knee, and it rotates at the bottom of that hinge. And basically, I thought maybe there was an assembly error, maybe the post had gotten too thick. But the problem was, you'll notice here, and let me zoom in here. In robot mode, there's the screw holes on the kneecap are behind the on the knee part or behind the kneecap. And you'll notice this little post here and there is almost sitting right inside the screw hole. And it's the same on this one. Before, like this pivots around, and you'll notice the actual point of attachment here on the hinge, I don't know if you can see it, is not quite center. It's just a little off center. But then even on that, the point it rotates around on that part is not quite centered. So look, it was hard to notice at first. It snapped during transformation, and the issue is not the kneecap, but the actual hinge part in there was assembled backwards. So this, instead of having these clips sit almost inside the screw holes there, was actually the screw holes were actually sitting about 1 or 2 millimeters further back from this. It was almost imperceptible until you had them side by side. Well, I mean, it was more noticeable than this. It was definitely noticeable when you had them next to each other, but this was sitting just a little further back because that knee piece was installed backwards. And it was a really simple fix. I just unscrewed these two hinges, or these two screws, popped the leg apart, spun that hinge around while leaving everything below it facing forward. Just flipped that hinge around, stuck it back on, problem solved. And so because it turns out when you wrapped around it, it was causing this to sit because you'll see during the transformation, it was causing this piece to sit just quite where that would not let this snap up a little bit, which was stressing the post. And like I said, I don't know how many times it was handled being a test shot. I don't know if it was transformed more than once before it got to me. Maybe I was the first person to transform it, and it was just causing that much stress. I don't know, but that was clearly, it was not allowing this to fold all the way in, so when you snapped it together in Canon mode, it was bending it at the post just a little bit, and that was causing it to, that's what caused the snap. Like I said, it's since been repaired. It can now rotate and transform just fine. I would be a little careful because it's glued together up there, but yeah, you shouldn't have an issue with that. It was just an assembly error. It's not a quality, because like some of the stuff you have to do to transform this and some of the stuff I put it through, it's very solid and tough. I didn't have any issues with it except for that one part. So just make sure your knees, when you get the kneecaps, when you get it, make sure these little kneecap pieces are sitting just about inside. Like they're not all the way in the screw pieces. Like I said, there's right here it's kind of touching. There's a very definite gap between the kneecap and the knee piece if it's misassembled. So keep your eye out for that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and show off the transformation from Canon to robot mode here. We'll do it on this one just in case, because I don't want to risk. I'm pretty sure that's solid. It transforms just fine. I've transformed it a few times, but I'd really prefer not to snap something on camera if I can avoid it. So yeah, here's the Canon mode, all folded up, very nice and neat. Now his head, the instructions show that his head should be folded up in a way that it kind of hangs. You fold it up and rotate this all the way around and out, so the head sits like underneath the body like that, pointing down. But you can actually rotate, you don't have to rotate this hinge piece all the way out. You can leave that folded in a little bit. Yeah, a little bit further than that. There we go. You can fold that in a little bit and have the head kind of tucked up under there. It does still kind of sit under there, but you can turn its head around to face backwards and then kind of sit up there, so it's not obviously hanging off the bottom of the Canon. So just a little alternate transformation there. With the Canon mode, like I said, there's no electronics or anything. They did change this to, I would like to see this more orange on the barrel itself, and maybe a little darker gray. The purple is actually really nice in person. I like it. It's a darker purple, but it's a really rich, darker purple. I quite enjoy it. I just wish that these pieces were a little darker to match. So yeah, now transform it. It's actually got a really neat transformation. If you've seen the little Jazai animation for an old Galvatron design, it transforms a lot like that. And what's really cool, there's some neat stuff going on the shoulders, which we'll get to. So first off, you go ahead and pop this off. This is the back part of his arm cannon. You can see the post that attaches it to his arm there. So we'll go ahead and pop that off and put it aside for now. The arms, you open them up like this, fold the panel up, you flip the fist out, and this panel folds down, this panel folds down, and there's a couple little tabs here that tab into the forearm armor like that. So there's no wrist swivel, unfortunately, and we'll get to that in robot mode more, but you flip that up, flip that out, extend this out, and just line it up so those tabs plug into the armor. And once that's all the hinges that are inside there lock, and you just have that elbow hinge now. So you can, once it's locked in place, it all holds together very well. So rotate these up so the tabs point up. Pull the arms out. This piece right here folds up, 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 and up like that. So it complex all the way up into that little shape right there. Go ahead and pull the head up. Rotate this piece around so you see the gray. Turn his head around. And then pull this all the way up. So you can see there's this red abdomen. Pull it all the way up so that's locked in place with the chest. And here's what's really cool. These tank treads, you rotate them up, fold them down to the hinges like this, and snap them into place. And slide them up here. And those end up being his little shoulder pylons, which is just a really neat part of the transformation. I really like the way those tank treads fold up and don't look like tank treads at all in robot mode. They're all hidden here inside the chest. Pull this up a little bit here. And then once that's done, and you got the arms out to the side, you have to unpeg this part, which can be, it's actually better. The first time you do it, going the other way, snapping this into here is kind of a pain in the butt. Lift these up. You see this comes up, and then that whole, that little rear support assembly folds up into the chest. Oh, got to bring the arms out, just like that. and everything sits around it. So it folds up. So the chest is actually not hollow, it's full of all the parts. And then you snap the shoulders into place, and that locks them in. This panel folds down on the back, folds this straight up, and this whole piece slides down to sit lower on his back in robot mode. And this is one of my, going the other way, this is one of my favorite little mistransformations, mid-transformation of him just with the upper robot body. It looks like he's like riding in like a gun canoe down the river. So yeah. Then you just lift this panel up right here a little bit, pull the front half of the cannon apart, which pops this out, and it snaps right into place like that. Actually, I'll flip that over so you can hide all the screws on the bottom if you want. And then here's what I was talking about. When this piece was sitting down improperly, this piece, the kneecap, you can see it's kind of just sitting right up in there in the leg. Oh, can you see it? Yeah, there we go. And that made that sit just too high to be able to wrap this around the kneecap, which then was, when you tried to snap it together, it was pushing pressure on that post and it snapped. And like I said, the clearance was just a little bit off. So just make sure that your knee's fine, and it should be. So you just bring that down, you open up these panels, rotate the hole, pull it out a little bit. Right, and again, don't pull it from here. Again, that'll put leverage on the tab. Pull it out from down here because the post is right under there. And then rotate this whole thing down and around. Rotate it so that the panel goes to the back. These little side panels fold in, and then you fold the whole thing in. Oh, push it back into place here. Snap this so it goes up there, and then fold these panels in, fold them flat, and they will snap together to hold the lower leg closed. And then the foot just flips up, around, and you kind of have to get your fingernail here in this little opening to flip the heel piece out. And then flip that little side panel down. And it's exactly the same on the other side. Pull it out down, open up the panels, pull it out down here a little bit, rotate it down, snap it back in so that goes into the little groove here. Down, fold the panels down, flip the foot around, and then fold this piece down, and then up, and then down again, fold that piece down, and then tab his cannon onto his arm, and there is Maniac King in robot mode. Oh, make sure that lines up. And he's actually quite posable. There's a lot of good, strong ratchet joints, both directions on the shoulder. A really tight hinge, a bicep swivel. He doesn't have the wrist swivel, again, unfortunately. So he is kind of stuck in the lifter monkey arms pose. But all in all, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of options. If it turns you off, it turns you off. I can't help that. And I wonder, like, it looks like there may have been the possibility of putting a wrist swivel in there, but it really would have made that tight. And I think they made a decision of structural integrity over posability, and I think that might be the right case in this instance. Yes, it's disappointing that he doesn't have the wrist swivel or even the hands in the other position, but I mean, like any sort of swivel in there would be very small and fragile, and I think they erred on the proper side in that for that. So yeah, the cannon comes over here, and again you can attach the cannon to either arm, but he generally does wear it on his right, so that's where I've stuck it. He's got a ball jointed head. He can look up and down. And again, these move out of the way. He's got dual action hips. He's got a thigh swivel, hinge knees. He does have that hip swivel hinge just below the knee there. And then his feet are actually have the front and back hinge as well as an ankle tilt. So you've got a lot of good. You can get some good solid poses out of him here in robot mode. So how does he fit with some of the other figures in your collection? I'm sure many of you are wondering. So we'll show you. Here he is, just by himself chilling. Actually, let's get him more to the middle for this one. So here he is with Classics or Generations or whatever you want to call it, Cyclonus and Scourge. a little smaller than him. I think in the cartoon they might have been a little bit closer to his scale or to his height. Cyclonus certainly, but they don't look bad. I mean, if you put him on a shelf, he looks like he's their commander, and it's not a bad trade-off, I don't think. Here he is with Fans Project's Protector, and again, I think that's a nice scale. A little bit bigger. I do think Rodimus was more equal in stature to him, but that's close enough that I'm not gonna kick you out of bed for eating crackers, you know. Now, a lot of people wanted to see him with his Arc 1 cohort Nova Prime, and here I think, mass-wise, certainly Nova Prime looks good with him. I think Nova Prime should be a little bit taller. I don't have pictures to compare. I could probably dig them up. So I'm not sure how they normally related to each other in size, but I feel like Nova Prime should be a little bit bigger. Although, again, from pure mass-wise, he is much larger than Maniac King, but I feel like he should be a little taller as well. Here he is with Toy World's Orion. And again, a little small to scale with Orion there. But what are you going to do? I really like Orion. I don't know if I've said that enough. And then finally, here he is with Toy World's Hegemon, his former self. And you can get a little creative here. He's a little smaller than Megatron. They look okay together, a little less bulky. That's weird. Looking at the camera makes Hegemon look way bigger than him, and looking at him in person, like when I look at the camera, it's like Megatron looks huge. But when I look at him like this, they don't really look too far off from each other. You can get Megatron's legs extend here. You can shorten his legs a little bit if you want to get them closer to the same height. If you choose, something in there is keeping this from going down a little bit, but there we go. So you can shorten Megatron's legs just a little bit if you want, and get them a little closer to the same height. Man, it's crazy. Like just looking at this, just how they look to the naked eye versus how they look on camera. But oh well. So yeah, there's a few quick size comparisons on where he can sit on your collection. It is a nice looking Galvatron. I do wish like the white parts here and here and here and here were more gray than white. It is adjusted a little bit from the test shot. And again, let's get those in here. And you'll notice some differences here. The final version has the silver paint on the chest, whereas the test shot doesn't. You notice a few of our paint ups. The red is a little darker versus the really bright red over here. The white parts, again, they're kind of sitting in a little bit of shadow, so I can't even tell if you can see the difference. But the pieces on the final version seem to be just a slightly darker gray. Although again, it is a slightly darker gray. I do want to emphasize that it's not a drastically different color. Also, you notice the collar around the head has silver on the final version versus the test shot, as well as up here on the shoulders. And the more I look at these, the more I'm noticing all these little paint apps that aren't on the test shot that are on the final. The gray here on the arms is missing. So yeah, they've tweaked it a little bit for the final version here, and it looks really nice. I'm really kind of pleasantly surprised by it. Color, my real complaints are I do wish there were wrist swivels, and I do wish the gray were a little bit better. But all in all, it's a very fun transformation. Once you get it down, the instructions are actually pretty clear on what you're supposed to do. So it's nice to finally have those because I didn't have them when I was doing the first time. But all in all, a really solid figure, a really nice little version of Galvatron. And like I said, I think he's probably going to fit in more with your classics than with some of your third-party ones because he's a little smaller than Megatron, and he's much smaller than Toy World's Orion, and honestly like a little too big for Nova Prime or Hypernova. He does fit well with the Fans Project Protector and the Generations / Classics Scourge and Cyclonus. So I think that's really where he's going to fit on your shelf. But it's entirely up to you. You have your own shelves. You can make up your own fiction. You can stick them wherever you want. But yeah, after the after the kind of rough start they had with Warhawk, Unique Toys has really been putting out some solid figures. They're not quite as They don't feel quite as sturdy as some of the stuff Fans Project puts out or MMC puts out. But like you can definitely see that this is a company that has taken comments to heart and is working on improving with each figure they put out, and it really shows here in Maniac King. So again, thank you again to, I'm going to float these up in here, to Toy Dojo for the test shot, and to TF Source for the final version figure, and making this whole comparison thing possible. It really is neat to see just some of even at this final stage of colored plastics painted to what actually comes to the shelf, just seeing those little differences, and why things changed. But and and wondering, speculating why things changed. I don't have any information on that. But yeah, thank you guys. Very, very nice of you. I'm very happy to have done this. And again, thanks for watching. And there is the Unique Toys Mania King, the final version there. Check it out.